All right, as promised, welcome back to part two of the Liberty Avenue Singles Reunion podcast. I was waiting, jeez.
All
We're
right.
waiting for the emphatic clapping sounds. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our songs.
There. Hit the button.
Oh, there we go.
There it is. Yeah.
As you can tell, we did not change our clothes.
Yeah.
We all
It's
stink.
3 weeks later, and we're still wearing the same thing. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
So happy Boxing Day. If you're what?
Aaron's still drinking the same tea.
It's so cold. Oh man.
So when I left you guys on a cliffhanger. I told you there was a season 4, and you all were waiting in bated breath to hear it. Then I made you guys wait a whole 30 seconds to. Yeah.
Well, us 30 seconds, but for the audience, they waited a while.
Yeah, much longer. So here we go. Season 4. So I got to start off by telling from the beginning the whole thing. So this may take a little bit. I go to we were talking about, me and the Rotom used to hang out there every week. We used to spend the weekend by Frankie, jump on the trampoline, all that all that fun stuff. And he used to text me, tell me what time to come. So I used to show up, and mom and pop used to be inside the house. And I would knock on the back door, and they're like, "Oh, Frankie asleep." And I didn't want to seem like I was crazy, so I would show them the text, like, "Oh, he told me to come." So they could just let me in. And so I go downstairs. Everybody knows where his room was, and guy's snoring on his couch, just knocked out completely. So I'm just sitting on this chair watching TV, and next thing I hear somebody go, "Proc, I want to kill Aaron." And I'm like, wait. I'm like, let me load the TV. Let me hear. How are we doing this? Oh, so he says, no. On the show, season 4, I want to kill Aaron. I'm like, what? Okay. He says, this is what I want to do. We're gonna wake up, season 4, episode 1. We're gonna be at Kevin's funeral, and he says to me, we're gonna be at Kevin's funeral. We're gonna have a funeral episode. Everyone will cry. Everyone's crying for Kevin. Everyone is like, okay, so that's a cliffhanger. Did you kill Kevin off? Did you kill Kevin off? So the first episode was going to be the funeral. And then at the end of the episode, when they, they have like a little get together, a little reception after funerals, Sundar was going to sneak into a room and bring a plate of food for Kevin. So that was the cliffhanger. So I'm like, okay, how is this going to work now? Kevin's dead. What happened? So we're mentioning it. Kevin, as you said, was a loan officer working for a Republic, like a Republic Bank or something like that. Second Republic Mortgage Bank, I think it was. And he was supposed to work for a company, but the company was gonna do like a pyramid scheme or some kind of scheme, something like that. and they were gonna dump it all on Kevin. Like Kevin was the one who stole all this money from the company, and he robbed a bunch of people. And the only way Kevin has to clear his name, but to do so, Kevin has to kill him, like fake his own death. And Sundar, of all the people Kevin could go to, Sundar has to help him clear his name. So that was going to be the whole season, clearing Kevin's name. There was also going to be another one where so with the chutney singer, he said he wanted to have like a PMS2.
That I knew
I
about.
barely survived one. We're gonna bring it
Yeah.
back.
You do know the cults grow, they just divide off, right? They just grow. Because Felicia's still alive. Her character is still out there. I might be in jail, but she's out there.
Well, no. It was supposed to be a relative of yours coming back to seek revenge on Panic because
See, I was loved.
So I was also right. Kevin is the one that schemed me out with the Bull Pyramid scheme. So maybe I'm the one that killed him.
So Kevin was supposed to be just the fall guy, and to clear Kevin, so for Kevin to clear his name,
right?
He had to fake his own death, and then Sundar. The whole season was to be Sundar and the crew was going to help Kevin clear his name. So that was what season 4 was supposed to be about. So Kevin was supposed to do in season 3 what Sundar did, live in Abdul Prasad's house without Abdul Prasad not knowing. So,
Wait, like an attic person? Like one of those people that stow away into attics?
yeah.
I did hear that idea though. I heard something like that. It was fun being a
really
girl.
wanted to
He
kill
had no
Aaron.
vengeance for us. We were easy.
This definitely lines up because when we were writing the female characters, I think one time he was like, I think, every gal should just be in love with Sundar. If you notice, no gal on the show hated Sundar, technically, if you think about it. So it
But
was
how could you
definitely.
hate Sundar? Sundar was like the most lovable. He was stupidity, but he was so stupid. He was endearing. He was lovable.
Who do you
It
think was
like,
writing that?
All girls love the nerd. Like, he always seemingly needed help. So like girls flock to people who are always in dire need of help. Like, he just seemed helpless and like I don't know.
I love this conversation
Diane
because
mentioned that
all the women are speaking up,
innocence.
like pro Sundar, and all the guys are being quiet. Like, yeah, he was pulling some
Because
strings.
he took his revenge out on you guys. The girls were safe. Clearly, we had no issues. Nobody was dying. Nothing was happening to any of us.
Yeah.
Oh, I was supposed to be a roommate. I was supposed to be a funeral. I was supposed to crash the funeral and claim that I was Kevin's cousin.
I have to say, this is the first time I'm hearing about this, and I love it. This seems like it's going back to the roots that like kind of Frankie wanted to do. These type of weird zany. It exists. The logic exists in this story.
There was so much shenanigans that used to go on when we used to hang out by Frankie. So it was pretty much like routine every weekend. Friday night, Frankie was never really one who enjoyed going out, partying, clubbing, being out within people. He liked to be within himself or within a small group. So, me, I would always go out, party, club, and then Friday nights, like 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I'd come knocking at his window, calling him. He wouldn't answer, and until finally he would come, open up the back door, and we'd just hang out. He'd catch a second wind, and we would be hanging out down in the basement playing cards. Me, you, Proc, one of our other friends, and we would just be in that basement or right in the backyard, hanging out, and so much nonsense would go on. I remember one time, Frankie was notorious for falling asleep first. So that's not something you usually want to do. So we would tape his ass down to the bed. We duct tape his legs we duct taped his legs into like a duct tape boot each, and then we would duct tape him down to the bed. We would use permanent markers all over his face, his back, his belly, anything that was showing that we could get to. There was so much nonsense. He was such a heavy sleeper that he had no clue until he would wake up. I remember one day, we didn't even realize it was Sunday, and we marked up all over his face. He was so pissed off that he had to go to work, and he could not scrub it off. So he went to work with just like faint markings all over his face. Didn't even realize he had stuff written all over his back until he came home afterwards. But yeah, we had some good times. Proc, I think we taped you down to the bed too.
Yeah, I was also taped in.
Oh no.
Oh man, yeah. It was good that I was an insomniac, so I didn't. I never. It was hard for you guys to catch me.
We
Yeah, it was countless. It was countless hours of Trump, and Frankie used to play bad on purpose just to mess with us, just to get us angry. But he also had the worst of luck too. Oh man, we had some good nights. Every single Friday, Saturday, we would be there spending the whole weekend by Frankie's. Um, that was our life in our 20s, just spending the weekend by Frankie's.
yeah, he was the worst card player. He did it on purpose. Yeah.
I honestly feel like he was the best card player because you have to be truly good to be that bad.
To be strategically bad.
Yes, yes. It's kind of like they say some of the best drama actors make comedic actors because or play stupid roles. Like you have to be good at acting to act stupid.
Mhm.
I can see that.
I don't know. It came natural to me.
Frankie and each other, because I remember seeing photos of somebody would be asleep and they'd wake up with a lot of things, and that's one of the reasons I never wanted to go to any of these sleepovers.
No, you no.
This is like the DVD extras
Those are like
podcast part
awesome
2.
memories. Yeah.
What is it with this group and duct tape? It's always
Yes,
handy.
it's probably the same role. Probably the same role.
So,
All right, well,
so
it
That's
is the best
scary.
thing for when you have cords on the floor. I'll give him that.
Yes.
so us and serial killers basically duct tape. That's our common ground.
So
Gaffer's tape.
we got a little look of season 4. I think it would have been awesome, but what for you guys now who are all characters on the show? Where did you want to see your characters go? So I'll start with you, Diane. Where did you want to see Amrita go? 'Cause I heard there was a backstory about Amrita, how her grandmother was like a billionaire buck with Buktas, like she made her billionaires with Bukta sales and stuff. Yeah. So where did you see your character going?
So I can't say exactly where I wanted her to go because I feel like there were a few opportunities to kind of open up and see what could happen with her. Um, of course, after she snapped and did the whole panic must suffer thing, she started to come around and regain her senses, I guess. So I kind of wanted to see like what else would have happened after that. So it's not, her psychotic episode, but she actually started to kind of normalize again. Um, I do know that there was talk of developing her character to, like, give her some sort of crazy backstory about being, an heiress to some incredible fortune. So I know that that was probably going to open up a few doors as well to talk about what she might be capable of. Hopefully, she'd use her powers for good and not for evil.
Okay. When I didn't I should tell this story now, but when we were gonna do Sundar for president,
Hmm.
the Amrita character was supposed to be the bankroller.
Okay,
You were supposed, yeah,
there you go. So using her
and
powers for good.
yeah, you were supposed to financially support Sundar's run for president.
I feel like I could see that happening, probably to try to make up for some of the damage that she did to Panic. I can see her probably trying to, to finance some of his dreams as well. Um, but yeah, I can definitely see her. Hopefully, that was the goal in my head, so that she would use her powers for good and not, go on a rampage again. She's a dangerous little thing.
I
Okay.
remember one time, I don't know if he was just messing around, but he said he was gonna sell Hassa. He was gonna sell Hassa to to bankroll it as well.
So from you, we go to the landlord's son, Rich. Where did you want to see the Timmy character go?
Oh man, so I would have loved to continue to develop just that storyline of the guy who is just really into West Indian everything, and how do you develop that more into like a love interest, into I don't know, my end, the chutney band that Panic is singing singing for, or
You
just
definitely you'd be the manager of the chutney band,
But he
just
secretly
like in
want
Two
to play.
Bob, just like Two
Yeah,
Bobs.
I can see that.
Or I think I was talking to Aaron a little bit about this, like having me move over to Guyana and like get a wife in Guyana and like have Guyanese children and just be just surrounded by Guyanese people and just living my dream as the white guy who just wants to be surrounded by West Indians, which clearly was me in real life as per this group here.
Mhm.
So now let's shift on over because Roxanne, you were only on for the one season, and I think you ended up in jail.
We don't
So
actually know.
yeah.
We
So
don't
what
know
did
where
it
she
like?
ended up.
Yeah. So where would you have liked to have? Would you have liked to escaped and you take your revenge on Panic? Like where would you have like or you make amends? Like what would you have
Know
seen
where
your
she would have ended up, but I feel like in the second go around, she would have probably become like Panic's like little lapdog. If you understand what I mean, like she would have
Wasn't
been like
wasn't
his slave or something, or forever indebted to
no,
him
there
because
was.
like
I heard a rumor that I don't know if this was true. I never confirmed it with Frankie that they were going to try to hook us up or like something like that, Aaron. Like Roxanne and Panic were supposed to like get together. Was that
Um,
ever?
it was probably
Probably like
mentioned, but I don't think it was like
it
I don't know
wasn't.
if it's stuck or
yeah,
not.
I don't think that character was developed
No.
further than where she was, but I feel like maybe she escaped jail and Panic was hiding her because he felt sorry for her. So she became like his little lapdog slash like peon. I don't know. But I feel like she's somewhere in the suburbs with a white picket fence and two kids and a dog. I really feel like she would have ended up there. She's so full of delusion. That character, I mean, there are layers to it. Like, you have to think, how did she get to the point where she's obsessed with, like, a man enough to kidnap him and kill him? Can't be just Diane's convincing words, you know? But, or maybe she's just leading, or maybe she just is leading a cult. She's good at getting followers. So,
She's good at rising in the ranks of a group or a cult because that was clearly the season 2 strategy.
right. I mean,
Um,
she seduced Timmy, which was like one part of it, and he became. I mean, is Timmy even like in jail at this point for this? Because he was the accomplice the whole way around. I don't know.
White people don't go to jail.
Well, that's true.
Basically,
So
that's
true.
something we have to keep
But
in mind.
but by that same token, I would have been safe and not in jail because by proxy, I had a white guy with me, right? So
By
I,
association.
I,
no,
I
but I
could
totally
totally
know.
see
But
that.
if I feel like if she were to come back around into season 3, she would have been very attached to Daryl. Somehow it always comes back to panic and like she wants to be right around him. Like he's a magnet for her, I think.
It's kind of like a Florence Nightingale syndrome thing because the hurt is still there, I guess, and that it could be. I could see that. I could also see her becoming like a therapist or something and just teaching women how to extract revenge on their others
So I'm saying a revenge cult.
because that is part of her, no matter what, you know. Yeah, and
Or she
that's
could
how
just
you
be a
start your
backup
cult.
dancer to his chutney band,
Oh God.
Yeah,
playing cowbell somewhere in the back.
yeah.
She could have been a
Roxanne,
groupie. She could have been a groupie.
oh boy.
How do we rehab Abdul Prasad? How do we? Where were you going next, Roti?
Bobby.
um, I mean, honestly, I was just hoping the character would be on more often. I know Frankie uh had had bigger plans for the character. Um, one point was thinking about having Kevin move into my place without me even knowing. He wanted to move in at some point. I remember in that basement he used to try to brainstorm so many ways on trying to figure out how to make Abdul a more prominent character. I just never got around to it. But it would definitely would have been nice to see how I would have fit in on a more permanent basis, and whether I was going to stick with the pervertedness or not. Um, but it would have been interesting to see if I would have kept that going.
Mhm.
Right, because Aaron would be hiding because he's dead. Dead. Yeah.
Maybe that was when he would have been the secret roommate that nobody knew
Right.
about. And he
Yeah,
Like he would make it make
like he'd be
sense
sleeping
somehow.
next to Alu and Alu doesn't even know.
And
Or
he just
you
would,
get up to get dressed for
why am I
work and he
smelling
slips into
curry?
the bed.
Okay, Samantha, your turn. Where was Kim gonna go? Where did you want to see Kim go?
I think Kim is a very nuanced character. I think she probably had a lot of trauma that made her the way she is, and I feel like Aaron, we had discussed like delving deeper into Kim's character in a future season, and kind of expanding on her personality. I know, like when I first came on the show, we were kind of well, I was told that I might be Kevin's love interest or I might be his sibling. So, Aaron, do you want to talk about that?
that's such a thin line. Either the sibling or the love interest.
Yeah, and eventually we
Um,
decided to go and well, Frankie and you decided to go into the direction of love interest because there was just a lot of nuance and innuendo there that
yeah,
they were having a
yeah.
love.
I think one thing I would say, like in hindsight, like your character Kim and Sundar, I feel like if they had like a couple more scenes together, you would have seen more parallels of these two characters kind of running away from their problems or issues. That's kind of what Kim was going through. That's kind of what Sundar was going through with his wife and things that were going on. He was trying to just going forward, never looking back and fixing what was happening. And I think that would have been a good kind of point for you guys to kind of see kind of yourselves in each other and like that, and kind of grow from there.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
Totally.
was there ever a planned love triangle between Kim, Nadia, and Aaron? I mean, excuse me, Kevin. Was that ever there, or
I feel like it was
because
there
yeah,
for like a small bit when at the end of season one, where they were Nadia and Kevin kind of broke up, and he went to Kim for comfort or something, but it was obviously she was very too much for him at the time. But um, like an actual love triangle, like Sundar, Kevin, and Nadia, like how it was in season one. Um, that would have been interesting, but I at the moment, not really.
okay. So how about you, Rada? Where did Nadia? Where did you want to see Nadia end up and go? Where did you want her character to be taken to?
So, like Diane was saying, with the female characters, there was a lot of room for them to grow because, in many ways, they were foil characters for the main male characters in a way. So for Nadia, her role was, the reason why Sindar was able to stay legally in America. And other than that, it's like, okay, what is her purpose? What is the reason for her to be here? So after she was going to go to school to get her degree. The next step after that, it would have been cool to see her graduate and like was she going to go with that? Was she going to move out of the country? Was she going to um continue with Kevin? Maybe they rekindle their romance. And or maybe it's an on and off situation and at the very end we find them together, or maybe she falls in love with Sundar somehow and actually catches feelings, who knows?
They're already married, might as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like getting married and then falling in love, right?
Yeah, it's not like our parents are used to that scenario. It's not like our parents weren't used to that scenario.
Right. Keep it closer to culture. Arranged marriages.
Yeah, I think that was definitely a Frankie suggestion that they're saying. I think Nadia should fall in love with him. But I think it made sense for Kevin and Nadia in the beginning to kind of be together for some reason and then break off because like we didn't really know them too much apart. For them to kind of grow by themselves, and eventually, if they kind of still kind of had that, I guess that personality for them because they were both kind of the straight man in the comedy duo. Like I was for the guys. I feel like you were for the girls, and it was I think that was their commonality that throughout all the craziness they were able to kind of depend on each other. So that would have been nice to kind of see that tied in a bow, kind of like a Ross and Rachel type of thing.
Okay. And how about you, Daryl? We already hear the Chutney Singer stuff, but is that for yourself how you thought Panic would end up?
No, he was going to get into real estate and he was going to rob a lot of people and probably end up in jail. Hands down. He was all about fast money, quick schemes. He wanted to, he hated his job, and that's why he was always trying to do something quick buck on the side. So the same thing, he's always trying to get Kevin to get involved in some scheme that he had, but Kevin was actually smarter than that. But I could definitely see himself getting into a very messed up situation where he put himself in a position and he took advantage of people, and the same way someone took advantage of him with the whole Volpe thing. And he definitely could have ended up either running from the law, and then that could have intertwined how I could see that coming back to link up where him and Kevin get back together, and both of them now hiding because now they're back together, and it kind of brings the story full circle around where now both of them are basically hiding from people. Panic's hiding from the law, Kevin's hiding from the other side of the law, and that could have been a road that could have went down. And I see his character, and that's with the way Frankie wrote him through all the painting and trying to sell paintings, and everything was a scheme, everything was a plot to make money. So that shows that his character was there wasn't much he wouldn't do to try to make a buck. So that left open a road that could have went down. Not trying to paint the character in a bad light that says he was an evil person, but people end up doing things and end up in bad situations. Not
So
trying to bring the whole energy down. Everyone's like, "Yeah, my character's gonna do this and that. I'll go to jail." It's like, but what do you think,
so
Aaron?
what
Do you think I could see him bringing me a flatbread with a saw in the inside of it? You know, it's like those guys,
Yeah,
Uh, there's a lot that could, but I could definitely. It didn't mean that he would stay in jail. He could have ended up in some problems, but I could see him getting the problems with the law from shady business dealings because he was all about that stuff.
yeah,
So I want to talk about specific episodes now. So there was I believe it was Panic's birthday, the Panic birthday episode. So one Terry Godroj makes an appearance in that episode. So how did you guys get Terry? How did you get Terry to be on that episode?
definitely
Well,
100% Frankie. And I
Terry's
think
been
that
our friend
episode,
for a
episode,
long time.
Mhm.
yeah,
We've done a
that
lot
episode
with
was
him.
peak Libby
Yeah,
singles.
yeah. And we worked with Terry before. We did a lot of like we would always see him with the Natraz events and the Mother's Day shows and stuff we did. So it's like he knows we were doing something good for the community as well. And Terry's a very stand-up guy, and he was willing to help us out. I think that's pretty much along the same lines what you'd say about that, right, Aaron?
No, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Was there ever like any other chutney artists or people within the community who were supposed to make an appearance on the show? You guys ever discuss that?
Um, I think uh, Roxanne, you definitely had a lot of connections. I think after Terry, like I think there was Ravi B. There was other people that were just interested in just like coming on the show and just wanted to have a bit part and have like a scene with Sundar, and like that was always a request just to be there. And we definitely had some opportunities, but kind of uh, it kind of fizzled a bit towards the end.
I mean, there's always opportunity to get people involved. A lot of these people, I mean, especially with Terry, Terry's gonna help out anybody within the community as much as he can, friendship or not. Like you could just really just email him and be like, "Hey, Terry, we have this project. We're doing this for this community. Hey, can you come out?" Terry's just that guy. But a lot of people did see the popularity in it. Now, talking about the culture, like, Caribbean culture and the comedy is borderline vulgar. It's on the pushing the boundaries side. You know what I mean? So this appealed to a lot of people. And I think once it started to get traction, there were a lot of people who were like, yeah, 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 let's, I don't mind. I don't mind making a cameo. I'll stand in the crowd. I'll pretend I'm just standing there. I mean, there's just definitely opportunity for that. See, I mean, artists really want the exposure. So if they see something that's going well and it's on the right track and it's trending well, they'll jump on it. I mean, those people are still available as well.
You got to remember, we that whole thing with Terry touched on the biggest debate in the West Indian community: curry chicken, chicken curry.
Terry, Terry, thanks you. Thanks so much for coming out, man. It means a lot to me, man.
No problem, it's my pleasure, man, and happy birthday again.
Thanks a lot.
But we can't understand why you still smell like fish.
That's a long story. Don't worry about that. Hey, I think I see you last month when I was in Guyana. I was at that thing. Oh, yes, the curry duck competition.
Oh, you mean duck curry, right?
No, I mean curry duck.
No, man, it's okay, it's okay. Anyway, me understand you're young and thing. Eventually, you're gonna learn the right way to say the thing is duck curry.
Well, I will let you know, Mr. Terry Godroj, that there's only one way to say the thing, and it's curry duck. And if you say it any other way, you're stupid.
You calling me stupid?
Do you see nobody else here?
Oh, let's take it. I'll teach you the right way to say the thing is
Curry
duck
duck!
curry.
Curry
Duck curry.
Curry duck!
Duck curry.
Move from here!
Duck curry.
It's curry duck!
Duck curry.
I'm telling you, curry duck!
Duck curry.
No!
Bye. Say it just like that.
No.
Duck curry.
Curry duck! I'd rather die, you Bailey's babu! Blasted Terry Godroj!
That also added a lot of spice to it because it was the perfect thing to have him there for, and that played out so well. And me wearing a blouse with lipstick all over me was also, I guess, good. Aaron, Frankie's idea, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that the writing was on the wall for that, and it was a testament to Frankie's like kind of like growth as a director for that show. Because if you remember in episode was like 105, season one, where it was a New Year's Eve, part of the century, and because Frankie didn't like filming crowd scenes and extras and like all that stress of like dealing with all the other people, that's why that episode was just we invited people to come to the party and like nobody came. So that was intended because he didn't want to deal with all that.
Yes.
So fast forward to like a year later, and we're doing this birthday with you, and like he warmed up to the idea of like, hey, let's get some people, let's order some Bama Garden and feed them, and and so it really showed that he saw as well. He was more confident in kind of delivering for people. So it was definitely peak LAS that episode.
That shows kind of growth in his writing style and his directing style. Also, like through the series, not only did we grow as actors and creatives, but he was growing right there along with us at the same time too.
And he was really open to our ideas if we had something that, meshed with the scene, or ad-libbing or changing up words here and there, sentences, whatever they were. He was open to anything.
So I want one memory, one scene you did that you just always sticks out in your mind that you guys did on this show. So let's go reverse order. Let's start with you, Daryl. One scene that you did that always sticks out in your mind.
Oh my God. That's everything was I can't tell. I mean, I don't know one particular scene that I can say that sticks out because I enjoyed every single minute of doing this thing. But if it would have to be the fight with Terry Godrez because to me it was so absurd, ludicrous beyond belief. Again, I go back to what I was wearing, how I appeared. It was Frankie literally made me look like a clown and then put me to fight a chutney singer. You don't forget that. You don't. So it would have to be that moment.
Okay, Rado, one scene that's always sticks out in your mind, or that you love doing, very memorable.
So I think the most memorable scene for me is in the first season, and this is when Sundar he's written a poem for Nadia, and it was it was memorable because of how bad the poem is, and I still remember how bad it is. But I remember looking at Frankie's face and trying so hard not to laugh because his eyes had this like deer in headlights look as he was saying the poem, and this like innocent, like, I can't even explain it, but he was so good at playing the role of Sundar that it was just hard to see Frankie sorry, see Sundar and not Frankie, because I don't even know if I'm saying this right. It was hard to see, to realize that, wait, this person that's looking at me is Frankie, it's not Sundar, because he was playing the role so well. And I just remember it being really sweet and also kind of cringe at the same time. So that was one very memorable one. But then the other one is when we had an episode where we were in bed together. Like, I wake up in the morning, he's next to me. I don't realize he's next to me. I remember my words were like, it smells like curry. And I turn and I see him sitting. He's like, he has his arm around me. He has some fresh line to say in response. And I belt out a scream, and I'm about to like jump out of the covers. And he's like, no, don't pull off the covers. I'm like, why? He's like, I'm naked under here or something like that. And I scream and I run out. But he actually was in real life. He pulled open the covers and he was just in his briefs. So I definitely did actually scream.
That line that he said, I feel like, is one of the most iconic lines. Gal, you mote stink, me mote stink, we have a stink mote kiss.
Response.
I still remember so many people quoting that at me. I think I've used it on a girl before too.
Oh no.
No, just the Sundar poem. Like every year on Valentine's Day, it's shared. It's
Yeah.
shared like in West Indian social media. Like somebody shares.
Yeah, someone shared it with me once. And I was like, I know those lines. I'm the idiot. Got to listen.
So there was a sweet bite.
Aw.
Sweet man.
Best rhymes.
Nadia
You should have
Gyal,
been the
make
Kevin
me
singer.
feel glad, glad. What was the next line? Do you guys remember it?
Just make me glad, glad. You smell sweet and nice. You just make me feel warm, just like that at rice. When I see you, we just get butterfly. We just feel like I'm couple, like they can fly. When we're there with you, we just feel safe and comfy. We doesn't frighten nothing, not even one jumpy. If me had a genie, only one wish me go make, that every single morning we can wake up next to you. We don't know for right now. If you love me like me love you, we will try my best to make all your dreams them come true.
Sundar, that's the sweetest poem. In a weird and sick kind of way, but still sweet.
Thanks. I love you bad, bad.
Something.
Off the top of my head. Good.
When you're not there, I miss you
Love you
bad,
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 bad.
I think.
Remember to see you is Pepe glad, glad.
Yeah.
Aaron's
Yeah.
holding on to all this footage. Like,
And then he's like, then something about
Oh,
something about
butterfly.
Alan Wright.
Oh, when I see you, make me feel like butterfly. Like something about he has wings to fly.
oh, we gotta find it. We
Something
gotta
about
find it.
you feel warm and nice, like when you eat dal and rice, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Uh, move over Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Kevin, aka Aaron. One scene that you had very memorable in the show.
Probably, I think it was towards like the season 1 finale where Sundar was chasing Kevin with a cutlass down Liberty Avenue. I remember we were filming it. It was Sunday morning. It was so cold, and I was in a robe, and it was so underdressed, and I couldn't wear shoes because we were running out the house, so I had to wear like almost barefoot on Liberty Avenue. I forget who was filming, but yeah, we were just going back and forth, and I think it was really cool because it was kind of Kevin come out of his shell and Sundar, and like we're kind of really like talking to each other, like like face to face. So like it was more like now we're kind of like ripping on each other a little bit, all for Nadia. Thinking like who's gonna, think you're like, you think you're a bigger man than me, that he was saying, or so it was really interesting to see that like that was basically since the beginning, they were setting up, and now just to see that come to fruition was interesting. And being chased with a cutlass on Liberty Avenue and no one calling the police because no one really cared at the time was cool.
How about you, Sam? One scene that sticks out in your mind for you.
Has to be probably one of the first scenes that I shot, where I was completely new to the whole scene. The only experience I really had was, doing dancing and videos with my cousins in our basement, but, like just childish stuff. But coming onto a set, I was so nervous. And my first scene, I was up against the wall and I was supposed to be on the phone with Kevin. And at the end of it, I almost started tearing up, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like I'm actually tearing up. And Frankie was so encouraging. He was like, no, like you're supposed to, like you're getting into it. And he was so encouraging. And just from that in the moment, I just knew that I wanted to work with him even more. Like he was just so encouraging, and he just brought out, the best in me, the best in everybody. So it was an emotional moment. I feel like I'm always emotional. What's wrong with me? Sorry.
Narotam, Roti. What?
Oh man, that's awkward hearing you say.
favorite scene, memorable scene you did on the LAS show.
Well, it's more so an outtake than the scene itself. Um, there was a scene where I was sitting with Aaron next to me, and Rado, was it you on the other side?
Mhm.
And we had popcorn, and all I had to do was sit there and eat popcorn and just mind my business.
And speak.
But for some reason, I could not eat the popcorn. Every time I went from here to here, it would just fall. I don't know what kind of hole my mouth had. I don't know what was going on, but every single time I just missed. I just missed, and I kept dropping the popcorn. We tried playing it off. Rada kept losing her brains every single time. We would get serious. We would we would hit action.
There was a pile of popcorn all around us.
The floor was just covered in popcorn. Like at one point, I tried to play it cool, and I had like the bag and popcorn here, and I just played it cool, and I was sitting back, and I try to go like this, and I just hit my nose and bounced off. It was so stupid. It was the smallest but stupidest thing. We took so many takes because of that nonsense, and I couldn't tell if Frankie was pissed or he was just trying to hide the laughter. But we had, yeah, it was bad. I couldn't eat popcorn. I don't know why. Oh man, that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Okay, Diane, favorite scene that you shot.
So there are a lot of really incredible moments. I do have to say that one very memorable scene would have to be when Amrita and Panic are, I guess, in their process of breaking up. And that's when you really start to see this little girl unravel. She's in the kitchen and she's talking to Panic. And she has a knife in her hands because, you know, they're in the kitchen. She's preparing something. And I remember, like, Frankie just wanted me to get like as close as I could with this knife to Panic's face. And it was just, I was so afraid to do it. And because Frankie, you know, being the prankster that he was just like, nope, I didn't get it. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. So I'm just like waving this knife in front of Panic's face. And I'm just like so freaked out that I'm actually going to hurt him. But, you know, Frankie thought it was great. And he's just like, nope, do it again. Like, there's no tape in the camera. Do it again. You know, like something. So, yeah, I'd have to say that's got to be a very memorable moment for me while filming for LAS. But another really memorable thing, which was not a part of LAS itself, not a part of the series, but it was more like a skit that we did. It was Liberty Avenue Sing Gals, and the guys and girls flipped their roles. So, you know, I remember like, I think I had played Sindar. Rada, who did you play in that? I can't remember now.
Aaron's role. I played Kevin. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played
Oh, okay,
Kevin's
it was
role.
Kevin.
I played
And
Daryl's role.
yes, Sam was Panic, and yeah, that was definitely quite comical because you know we tried to like get it just like the guys, you know, try to do that and but still put our own spins on it. And I know that you guys are aware, but like I can't speak with the Guyanese accent for my life, so I had to like listen to Frankie say things and like have him record things for me on my phone so that I could listen and parrot it back. Like the amount of times that he just sat there and like stared at me and would say the lines so that I could sit there and stare at him and say them back. It took a lot of practice. But yeah, I thought that was actually really fun because it gave the girls a little bit, you know, a little bit of a moment to kind of branch out a little bit and kind of see how the guys live for a minute.
Okay. Now you, Rich, your favorite scene that you ever shot. Well, memorable moment shot, scene that you shot for LAS.
Oh, there's so many good ones. I guess I'll talk about the one Proc you were alluding to before. We had a scene where I was carrying up a Christmas tree into the apartment, and Panic was just not helping at all, of course, because that was our relationship between our two characters. And for me, what was most memorable, just like pretty much all of my scenes, just the new words that I had to learn and the accent I had to put on along with it, and the combination of the two. So for that one, I think the line was something like, Panic, come help me now, I'm getting Nara. And then I remember, because I had to carry the tree, and you carry the tree in and then say the line, and if I said it wrong, you had to back up with the tree, and then come back in with the tree again. And like, this isn't a fake tree, like this is a legitimate Christmas tree. And it's heavy as hell. And so it'd be like, no, it's Nara. No, it's not Nara, it's Nara. And then it's not getting, it's got, you got Nara, or whatever, flip it in reverse. And it was just so many takes, and I don't know how many people I confided this in, but I was not great at memorizing lines, and I was extremely anxious every time I was in front of the camera. And so every time I had to do this stuff, I was like, oh my goodness. But add the weight of the tree and the constant laughter and teasing, whether it was towards Timmy or just towards Rich as the actor, and not being able to get it right, was endearing, even though it was getting made fun of by Daryl constantly.
And last but not least, how about you, Roxanne?
I think it goes back to the infamous garage scene where Panic was taped to the table, and for many different reasons. So it was freezing cold that day, right? The only people wearing jackets were the people that were not in the scene, and we were frozen to a point where we couldn't really get the words out, or we were forgetting our lines because we were having brain freeze. This poor guy is taped to a table, and water's being poured on him in the cold. Frankie's adding more water, and he's having more fun and delaying the shoot itself. And we're in this one-car garage where there's full equipment, a table, and people around the table that he's tied to. And at one point, because the way I was positioned, I was blocked to be bent over Panic. So I'm like completely like full backwards, my ass is sticking out, right? At one point, Frankie just starts doing this with my butt to like get it out of the way for the camera, where the tripod could fit, or where the light could, or with the boom, where Ajay could stand with the boom. And it was just like this whole thing in this one little garage, and it was like, what was it, Daryl? Like 4 hours in the freezing cold, and all we had was water. We had no tea or anything, no access to like hot water to make something. But that was memorable for so many different reasons. And of course, it's the height of the character for Susie, because she's about to inject him with poison. And then the helicopters come and swarm, and she runs for dear life, and we don't know what happens to her.
Wow.
Isn't it
So much insight on this show. And I can tell you just from watching it as a fan and then getting to be a part of it in season 3, my little 5-second, is that a cameo? Would you call that a cameo? Oh. My 5-second scene on the show.
I'm trying to remember.
So many memories. Yeah.
It was a blink in
I can say I got on Liberty Avenue singles.
No.
Not as much as you guys did, but I can finally say I actually got on one episode. I was Panic's Panic hired me to be one of his cameramen. Me and Dinesh. We were.
Oh yeah.
We were hired to Panic hired 2 camera guys, and I was one. Dinesh was the other one. So, yeah, it's probably my memorable moment.
Yeah. Oh, well, Rox, wasn't it what we talked about, that it was actually the original thing was it wasn't Panic Must Suffer. I think in the script it was
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was it? It was PMP. It was
PMP.
Panic Must Pay.
Yeah.
I think that's what Frankie wrote. Panic Must Pay, and like somehow like on filming a day, I think it just dawned that somebody just said either the initials or just like Suffering just had a better chant. And I want to say it was you, Roxanne, that came up with it, but I'm not sure.
I said something about PMS, and then someone ran with it. And I wasn't talking about like the normal one. I was talking about like something about PMS, like I don't know. It just came out of my mouth, and then I think someone else came up with Panic Must Suffer.
Yeah,
But that's
that's
what I'm
how.
saying. Like Frankie took suggestions, and he just took things and just explored it, and then made it amazing in many ways. So I mean,
And that's how.
PMP versus PMS. Like I mean, there's so much you could do with like PMS, right?
No, but I guess we say that the show fizzled out or that it went a certain direction, but in reality, we were sort of kids when we started, and then as time went on, we started adulting, and our time was just not there anymore. So I think if we had more time, more resources, we definitely would have still been on the same track. But life catches up to you, and we just had to go a different direction. So it wasn't, I don't think it was just the show fizzled out because of lack of content or anything. It was just we were just moving on with our lives naturally.
Yeah, we had so
Yeah,
much
I
time on it.
remember.
We had a lot of
I
time.
remember to it. Sorry.
What was that? Rich?
Yeah,
I,
go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, like, towards the end, I remember, and you're totally right, just getting so super busy, and where, like, in some weekends when we were younger, it was like, oh yeah, of course we're gonna go film all weekend, and then, oh, we need a weekday night also, yeah, cool, no problem, yeah, we'll meet up there. And then it turned into, ooh, like all day Saturday, or like, like just a 4 hour block, or like how much time do we need to commit?
Ethiopia, yeah. Yeah, I think Frankie definitely had the most stressful part in LAS of all this. Like we would be filming Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday he'd be editing alone, and Wednesday the final edit had to go be submitted to Caribbean Spotlight. The tape had to get there, and and then Thursday Caribbean Spotlight had to get everything together for their stuff by Friday, and then it would air on Saturday. And during this whole time, me and Frankie would be writing during the week, and then he'd have to be ready again for Saturday Sunday filming. So like it was this constant cycle of just meeting these deadlines so he can air it on broadcast. And he definitely hid it from us. But I feel like we felt it in emails and other things when he was just stressed out and people couldn't make or availabilities because he was bending over backwards.
He put in a lot
All
of
right,
work.
guys.
And he also
I hate to do this.
that he also seemed the least stressed out of all of us.
Yeah,
That's the thing. With all the work he did. And that's why the girls were safe. We didn't
yeah.
stress him out.
All the men stressed him out. I was there, and I could see him writing, "This person will slap you," and I'm like, "All right, I guess that's what's gonna happen."
I mean, look at
All right,
what happened
guys.
to Daryl for a whole season. He was being stalked by crazy women the whole season.
Do you know what Frankie would do? Like he made the PMS PMP thing, and then like he didn't really know what he was going to after, and he's like, Aaron, just I want to zero everybody back to being friends. So he had me kind of like figure out the season of like how to bring it back, and that's how he brought in Roxanne, like this power of like if Amrita got crazy, how do we make her not crazy? Find someone more crazy. And like kind of find it like find that power where like she became more like, and Amrita kind of grew conscious, and then when Panic became like remorseful and apologized, then it just made sense. And I actually love doing that. Like I like making stories, and Frankie just like loved having these sketches and these funny moments, and that's kind of how we work together. But I think Diane, you were saying like that psychotic point that made that kind of made Roxanne to come into the story because we kind of needed that character to bring you back.
Okay, guys. It's that time. I know we've had so much fun over the past how many ever weeks we've been filming. I kept you guys here for so many weeks, and yeah, in the same clothes. Yeah, I didn't feed you. But any last words? Any last words on the project? Normally, this would I would call this our rant session, but let's keep it to like LAS themed.
I just want to say thank you for having us, and thank you for exposing another group of people who might not have heard of LAS, Liberty Avenue Singles, exposing the show and us to a different audience. So thank you so much, Brock. Thank you for what you've done. And thank you to everyone here on the panel for showing up and delving into these little secrets and spilling the tea. I love it.
Also, thank you for keeping Frankie's legacy alive in many ways. He's never forgotten because he was a groundbreaker and a disruptor.
Yeah, thanks, Proc. I think it took like a person who loved the show to kind of bring this together, Proc. So this is kind of all you, of like, hey, I want to talk about this show that I loved. Let me get everybody I know on that show, and for them to spill the tea. So this is great to kind of like reminisce to see people I haven't seen in years. You know,
That time of our life was something that is very hard to forget because it was such a happy part of our lives, and it was the onset for many of us in our career paths, in a way, like finding our voice and finding our creativity and our ability to lead, because that's one thing that Frankie always wanted from us. He was so big about, taking the lead and not being afraid to just, if you have a vision, go with it. Don't wait for other people to tell you what to do. Just do it. If you have a quick camera, great, pick it up and shoot. Go and do whatever it is that makes you feel like you're connecting to your talent. And that was a part of our life where we had all the time in the world to do this every Sunday, but it was a gathering with family that you were excited to see every Sunday. It wasn't a, oh great, I got to go film this thing. It was like, yes, I have like flat tire Sundays, and everybody, my immediate family knew that every Sunday, like that was just something I was doing, and not to bother me, because that's where my focus was. And it was really cool to have that for so many years, a place that you felt you belonged and you were needed and you were valued. And um I'll always value that.
Hey, wow.
Here.
I have to say, I definitely agree with that. It feels like we had so much more time than we do now, as 15 years later. But yeah, our weekends were, taken up by filming, but it was really, it kind of felt like hanging out a lot of the time too, because, we were happy to see each other. And like you said, it wasn't work. It wasn't just like this exhausting thing that we had to do. It's like, all right, hey, 6 o'clock in the morning, let's get up and start going, on a Sunday. But yeah,
Hungover.
yeah, that too. So yeah, like it was just a really fun experience, a great experience. We got to meet each other and really bond with each other, and put forward, comedy, which, everyone says laughter is the best medicine. And I feel like, it feels good to be able to contribute to that. Anybody who's feeling down, maybe we made them laugh one day. Who knows? So yeah, I'd have to say that, I take away a lot from this whole experience. And this is great to really talk about it, to have an opportunity to see everyone's faces and, you know, actually relive those moments. So thank you, Proc, for the opportunity here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Oh man, just to reiterate, it really was a time that was some of the best times of our lives. We were young, we had time, we were all working, but we didn't have the responsibilities of yucky adult life, true adult life. So we got to actually enjoy it, and man, it really was the best times of our lives. We spent so much time together, mostly on weekends, but on weekdays too. We found reason, like we would we would plan skits just so that we can have time to be together. You know, a lot of it was great. It's hard to look back and reflect upon it and remember it, and it's not like you feel it that Frankie's not here, but at the same time, it's like never leaves you really, because of those memories we all had together, and everyone, um, you know. But that's really was some of the best times of our lives.
So, guys, this was fun. And to everyone watching at home, as I always say, I will catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Thank you for all of you for coming on and sharing spilling some tea, sharing some knowledge, dropping some knowledge on where this show came from, your little stories about the show. So I'm just here. I'm just the middleman, but you guys were the true stars of the show. And on behalf of all the fans that you guys entertained for so many, well, not so many years, but like for what, 3 years? Thank you guys so much for being entertaining and entertaining us and giving, young 20-something-year-old, young teenage West Indian people a show where we could look at and see people who look just like us and could identify with all the characters. So it's more importantly, not just me for having you guys, but from everyone, thank you all for doing what you did for that time. And thank you for being my friend.
And if anybody wants to see the show, it's on Amazon for $45, and we don't know who has it.
Or you could just hit up Daryl; he'll give it to you for free.